The chandelier had crashed during the CEO's charity gala. A $1 million crystal masterpiece shattered into 1,000 sparkling fragments on the marble floor. Everyone gasped, but Richard Lorne, the arrogant CEO of Lorne Technologies, laughed cruelly. "Whoever can fix that," he sneered, his glass of wine glinting in the light, "gets my mansion." From the corner of the room, a woman in a faded uniform froze. That woman was Clara James, the maid. Her trembling hands clutched the broom tighter. She needed this job. Her son's tuition was due in 3 days, and she couldn't afford to lose another shift. But when she saw the CEO's mocking smile and heard the laughter that followed, something in her heart burned. Shame mixed with quiet defiance. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. That night, Clara went home to her small, creaking apartment. Her son, Elijah, a skinny 15-year-old with eyes too wise for his age, was sitting at the kitchen table surrounded by wires, tools, and an old laptop that barely turned on. He looked up when she came in. "Rough day?" he asked gently. She sighed, setting down her bag. "They broke a chandelier at the mansion. Worth more than everything we own. The CEO made a joke. Said anyone who could fix it could have the mansion itself." She gave a bitter laugh. "As if people like us could ever touch something like that." Elijah's gaze sharpened. "What kind of chandelier?" She frowned, surprised. "A Lorne Crystal Tech design, I think. They said it was built with some new kind of LED processor that controls the light flow." "Why?" Elijah's fingers stilled. "Because I've been studying those circuits online. They use a flawed configuration. If one node burns out, the whole system fails." He smiled faintly. "I could fix it." Clara almost dropped the plate in her hand. "Elijah, don't be ridiculous. They'd never even let you near it." He didn't argue. But later that night, while the city slept, the boy stayed up sketching designs, tracing circuits, and watching tutorial videos from a cracked phone. The glow of the screen lit his determined face. The next morning, Clara begged the head butler for an extra cleaning shift, and Elijah tagged along pretending to bring her lunch. When the mansion was empty for the afternoon, Elijah slipped into the grand hall. The chandelier lay in silence, a broken constellation across the marble. He knelt beside it. His hands moved carefully, reverently. He studied the circuitry, identified the failure, and started connecting small wires from his pocket kit, salvaged from old toys and scraps he'd found in dumpsters. An hour passed. 2. Sweat trickled down his temple, but his focus never wavered. Then the door opened. Richard Lorne stepped in. His laughter echoed. "What the hell is this? Clara, you let your boy play engineer now?" Clara turned pale. "Sir, please," but Elijah didn't look up. "Give me 5 more minutes," he said softly. The room went silent. Even the CEO's smirk faltered. There was something about the boy's calm, the quiet confidence in his tone. Against his own arrogance, Richard gestured. "Fine, impress me." The air hung thick as Elijah connected the final wire. A spark, a flicker. Then, light. The chandelier came alive, glowing even brighter than before, its shards perfectly reconstructed, crystals refracting golden light that danced across the ceiling like sunlight through water. The butlers gasped. The guests who had gathered murmured in disbelief. The CEO's mouth fell open. Clara's eyes filled with tears. Richard's voice cracked, softer now. How did you—" Elijah wiped his hands on his jeans. "You used outdated connectors. I rerouted the power through a custom circuit I built at home. It wasn't hard." Laughter rippled through the staff. Not cruel laughter this time, but stunned, joyful disbelief. Richard Lorne, a man who had made billions mocking others, suddenly felt something he hadn't felt in years. Humility. He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out a card, and handed it to the boy. "My company could use someone like you," he said quietly. "And your mother deserves better than to scrub these floors." But Elijah just looked at his mom. "You said whoever fixed it gets your mansion." The room froze. Richard blinked, then let out a shaky laugh. "You're right. A promise is a promise." Days later, papers were signed. The mansion was transferred, not as charity, but as honor. Clara stood on the balcony with her son beside her, sunlight streaming over the marble floors that were once someone else's dream. That night, as they looked out over the city, Elijah whispered, "Do you think people will still laugh at us now?" Clara smiled softly. "Let them. We'll just keep shining. Because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits, and it finds its way back, and somewhere deep inside, even the cruelest hearts can be humbled by brilliance born from love." You've been listening to Cinematic Whispers, where every story reminds you that the smallest spark can light the grandest hall. Subscribe, share your thoughts, and remember, greatness often wears humble shoes.